Merry Christmas everyone. Yes, it's only 2 days until the big day. I hope you are all prepared and ready to go. Christmas is a wonderful time of year which you would think is not susceptible to the flat earthers' wrath. However, one YouTuber thinks that Christmas itself proves a flat earth. Hello all and welcome along to a Christmas Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. So today's video is from a channel called The Daniel, and as I said at the start, he thinks that Christmas itself proves a flat earth. Has he done the impossible and finally got us? No, he hasn't, but it will be fun to see him try. Here we go.
What's going on at Christmas? It's the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice.
Wow, where to start here? It's not the shortest day of the year, Christmas Day. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, the shortest day of the year this year falls on December the 21st, or the winter solstice. And apologies to all the Southern Hemisphere viewers who hit their longest day yesterday, the 22nd of December.
Is it the winter solstice because of the Earth's axis and the rotation of the Earth and this globe spinning around the sun? So it's tilted away from the sun as it spins around the sun. Therefore, we have the shortest day of the year, which I don't even think answers that question, why it's the shortest day of the year. The Flat Earth model does.
It answers the question beautifully. You see, on the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are tilted away from the sun in our orbit. You can see that the Northern Hemisphere gets less time in sunlight during the winter than during the summer. That less time in sunlight means a shorter day. It's really not that hard to understand.
And then also, they say it's not even the farthest away from the sun. And they say that Earth is actually closer to the sun on winter solstice, which doesn't make sense either.
Why doesn't that make sense? It's closer in January, yes, but only by a couple of million miles. But Australia has summer at this time of year. So it makes sense to you if you lived in Australia, wouldn't it? That's what I'm getting the way you're talking about it. Which means you don't understand anything about it.
Or is Christmas on the winter solstice, and the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year because the sun's making a rotation around the flat plane around the edge?
No, it isn't. What powers the sun in your model here? What keeps it in the sky? What maintains its speed, etc., etc., etc.?
Is that why we're having this season? This season is the most special season out of all the seasons. There's 4 seasons. I believe those 4 seasons are because of the sun. And you can see the sun rotating farther away from you in the fall and winter. It's just clear that the sun is just farther away from you. When you go look at the sun from fall to winter, it's setting farther away from you. So it's setting closer to the left than the right. If it's always setting to the right, then it's setting before it did yesterday.
Yes, because of our elliptical orbit around the sun. But given what you just said, we should see a change in the angular resolution of the sun from the summer to the winter. Now, do we see that change? Actually, we do, but not in the way that he hopes. It's actually got a slightly larger angular size in the winter due to us being slightly closer to the sun in our orbit. But yeah, it sets further away from us in the winter. Keep saying that and it might come true. Or it won't.
And you can see that. You can take trees, or you can take a landscape and see where the sun is falling out of your perspective. And every day it's falling out of your perspective a little sooner.
He's literally explaining why days get shorter based on the axial tilt of the Earth and our elliptical orbit.
And you can archive that. And you can also archive it with your clock. It 100% proves the flat Earth model.
But it doesn't though. For example, in your model here, during the winter when the sun is supposedly furthest from the Northern Hemisphere countries, the sun is over what you would call the Tropic of Capricorn. That explains summer for the Southern Hemisphere. However, when the sun is here, people in South America will see it in the east and people in Africa will see it in the west. That is not what happens in reality, is it?
The globe earth model not only doesn't capture the objective experience of what we see, but also doesn't capture the emotional experience of what we're experiencing. What we're experiencing is really short days. And in those really short days, we're capturing that energy of the day and then taking it into night and then beginning again during the day and having really short days.
I mean, what does all that really mean? Honestly, some help would be nice here.
And then that beginning and end, that birth and death, that life and not life, that night and day, we're taking that energy and we're projecting it to each other in this season of Christmas. That's what we're doing in Christmas. There is magic in the air the month of December.
Yeah, I do get that, but what does that have to do with the length of a day and or the shape of the earth?
And it's really evident the closer to the solstice we get. The closer we get to the December 25th, you can feel magic in the air. Now, there's added pressure on Christmas with the presents and with the family and with the holiday and especially the commercialization of the holiday. And it's also kind of forced upon us. So it's also easy to be like, oh, I don't like Christmas or like the feeling during December. There's the bah humbug aspect of it. But then there's this inevitable feeling you'll get at least one time during the season where you're like, oh, it's Christmas, and it's hard not to just have this feeling for life. You might not understand that that's what it is, but it's just this appreciation for life. And with life, there is death. With life, there is day and there is night, and there is the duality aspect. And the Christmas energy is really capturing that. It's really capturing the beginning and the end and the start again.
This is getting a bit deep for a flat earth proof video, don't you think?
On the flat earth model, December 25th is the last day of the year. It really is. I mean,
December the 25th is the last day of the year on the flat earth model. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. So what happens to those extra 6 days then? Because they do happen. That'll mean next year your December the 25th will be 6 days out of sync, won't it?
Flat Earth calendar is probably the International Fixed Calendar, is the one I like. And it really is the beginning of the year. The next day is the start again of the new sun cycle, and then the sun's coming closer to us until it gets to summer solstice, and then it goes back out to the ice wall again, and then it comes back in to the North Pole. So the North Pole is in the center, and the Santa Claus stuff come from the North Pole, the candy cane, the red and the white. It's all dualistic symbolism. And then there's not much of a day, and if any sunlight on there's just a tiny bit on Christmas, and then it begins again.
Nope, at the North Pole there is no sunlight during Christmas. It's dark between October and March.
And the globe model with the axis, what's the proof of an axis, of a tilt? Can you feel this tilt? No. Can you measure this tilt? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, you can actually with just a stick, a measuring device, and the sun. Oh, and of course your knowledge of your latitude where you are at that moment. Simples.
They say on Easter you can take an egg and balance it really easy on its end. Really easily. They say you can do it any day. I can't. I've never been able to balance an egg on its end. Even on Easter. So yeah, spoiler alert for the Easter video.
I'll keep a sharp eye out for that.
But the tilt of the Earth is just the most ridiculous. It is just the most ridiculous excuse for seasons. It's the sun, and even if it is the tilt, it's still the sun interacting with the tilt of the Earth. The sun. The reason why people worship the sun historically is because it's the cause of all the effects. Everything interacts with the sun, and then we have weather. Then we have seasons. And it's all because of the sun.
Yes, that's all well and good, but what does any of that have to do with positive proof for flat Earth? You've tried to debunk the globe, and you've got a bit deep about Christmas, but as of yet, you haven't supplied any positive proof whatsoever how Christmas proves a flat Earth.
And now we have this season because of the sun. We have shorter days because of the sun.
It's not because of the sun. Now we have daylight because of the sun, but the length of day is explicitly caused by Earth's rotation and its axial tilt.
We don't worship the tilt of the earth. The wreath is a circle. What goes around the circle? The sun. The tree. What's the tree? The tree's the tree in the center. It's the North Pole. It's your center point. Yeah, does it come from the pine cone and the pineal gland and your third eye? Maybe. I mean, maybe the pagans did that, but then the Christians took it over with Martin Luther, and they bring the tree in and put lights in it and celebrate Jesus' birthday on Christmas, on the first day of the year, or the last day, on the last day of the year, and then we begin again.
Look, I don't think that you have any positive proof at all. So let's leave the Daniel here and come back and take a look at him again in the new year. Well, there we go, a special Christmas Flat Earth Friday, all done and dusted, wrapped up in a nice Christmas gift box sized video package. Thank you so much for watching, it truly is appreciated. If you enjoyed it today, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hit that like button too. If you really enjoyed it, please do consider sharing it as well. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great Christmas day, and I'll be back on Boxing Day for a special comments video. See you then.